Listen to actress.
Ollie's not here. Yeah.
Good to go.
Welcome everyone to this CCB meeting for Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Welcome to everyone in the public forum and media staff. Start with a karakia.
Karakia tātou. Whakatakata hou ki te uru, whakatakata hou ki te tonga, kia mā kinakina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hi aki ana te atakura, he teo, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei mauriora. Thank you, Ollie.
Apologies, you might notice that I'm sitting somewhere different. I've got an apology from Anna today. And it would be all right. Oh, yeah, I'll move the Anna's apology be accepted.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you. The public forum, I've got 3 speakers down, I think, for the public forum. So we'll start with Michelle and Cheryl for the Background and Recreation Reserve Committee.
No, you're getting shy, so she didn't say it. I want to be a reality TV report. There's a lot of people watching online, I'm sure. And they want to hear, especially because I'm here. Yeah, I'm one of the about 5 minutes on the benefit of people too. Cheryl's doing the other one. There's only a couple of places here I know, so it'd be quite nice to be introduced to everybody. Michelle? You know.
No.
David?
Wally, sentiment.
Okay. So David, are you part of the?
Junior Community Experience. No, I'm not part of the community board.
Okay, so what's your role?
I often wonder that myself.
Yeah. I should sit here and look good.
Jesus, got a good start.
He's the one that we all go to.
That's fine, it's just, we don't, I think I've been here once before, so that's really nice to
Nice to meet you.
see who's here, and we've got,
So I'm Wally, I'm the deputy chair of the community board, acting chair today.
And Wayne?
Chairman on the governance. Undertaking.
right, okay.
Sarah, I'm council and community board,
I'm Mike, I'm just community board.
just community board. Do you want community?
You want another one?
No, once enough.
It doesn't need any. It's not clean.
These are not please.
Okay, nice one. Michelle, Cheryl.
And I'm the chief executive of council.
But you only, you know, what didn't work out who it was. The two I already know. We're here just to give you a brief report, but before I give you a brief report, when was the last time any of you were there at the Bennyburn domain? Now, we think you were up there.
A week ago, maybe?
You come and see us, ask for a tour? No, no.
Pick the old man up from bowls once and that's it.
Just good to know if anyone's actually been there, know what we're going to talk about. And offer an invitation to come and see us, you know, especially a councillor, because you'd like to have some advice about a couple of things.
Oh, I'll give you plenty of advice.
I know. But on the whole, we'll talk about our season so far. We've had a good summer, tracking on the same as last year. It won't show in our books this year because we've seen quite a bit of money this year. We've had a lot of maintenance that needed required. It's a very old place, as you might know, and Gordon very kindly got a map arranged for us. Was it last year from Peterson Pits, which, you know, did our boundaries and things, which also brought up another couple of issues where some of the boundaries aren't quite in the right place. One not being so bad because we've already talked to that neighbour ourselves. He's building a house and wants to have the fence in the right spot, so we'll sort that one out. But the other one being, call it the vineyard, which is clearly we're obviously going to make some wine. The domain, I believe, must be on our boundary. Shame I don't drink it, but never mind.
Diversifying.
So those are things that we, especially a councillor, might be able to tell us how whether that's tracking or not tracking to be subdivided. But on the whole, this year we have, we got in Delta to check all our trees, because we're an old place, lots of big trees, and the winds of the last years. And some of our campers worried that they were going to be hit by falling branches. So we spent some money tidying all those up, taking what the lady from Delta spent and just making them all healthy again. With the survey that we got done, we were able to realign quite a lot of our sites down below and make use of them. I think we've got 4 new sites, and we resurfaced it so it was winter friendly. As the camp, as you know, it was a big bowl full of clay. Water just sits there, and we've, I don't know. Well, Gordon knows this. I've had him out there several times to talk through the issues.
Well, I think that's when we were looking through some of the historic documents.
Yeah.
It turns out that that whole area was actually a swamp. So right from Bannockburn Road right back through to where the vineyard is was originally a big swamp, as marked on some of the older maps. So huge drainage problems.
And with all the building that's happened, especially down Paul Road and the trees coming out, I think we're at the bottom. We seem to get everybody's water coming right down to the bottom of us. We're going to try and alleviate that this year with some strategic planting, and we have our landscaper. Well, our landscaper and his assistant on track to try and get the right plants. And plan how we did that. Last year, I've lost track of the years. We did a lot of native planting down the northern, I'm not very good on directions,
It's the northern boundary.
Boundary.
It's like a subdivision goes in from Bannockburn Road with quite a lot of housing in there, and it was just like they have since sealed a lot of the road, but it was dusty and dirty, and there's more and more houses, and basically the old part of the water race still, even though it wasn't a real water race, it still runs along through there, and it's really messy. So we native planted through there to more like hedging rather than trees. So the biggest trees are Pittsburghs and Kowais, but it's all native friendly and bird food. So basically in a 5 metre strip, so it's not just one plant, it's going to put quite a big hedging space along that boundary and hopefully mitigate a bit of our noise and their noise. And
especially for the party house behind us.
yeah,
It'd be quite good to get rid of that. But also, you know, we have a lot of quail, we have a lot of sewers to come through, so we're trying to keep them established, and then we've got campers that love the birds and things. And that is one of our other, talk about that, the vineyard boundary, if that ever gets subdivided, we would like to see that also become part of the subdivision, that more screening is planted to keep us all safe. Because not all neighbours are that happy, even though the camping ground's been there since before I was born. And thanks. What else have we done? We have notes,
done like that.
notes. I've done that. We last year we did the road coming in, so we've done a lot of sort of cosmetic maintenance, I'll call it, on keeping the place looking good, the sites looking good. He's just finishing off another couple this year. And now we want to work. There is an old pavilion at the Bannockburn Domain, which is very dear to one of our founding members, Graham Stewart, who passed away a couple of years ago, very dear to his heart. And we are trying to come up with a way to preserve that and put history in there. Mary's got a lot of life, we've got a lot of
history.
So we want to restore, I suppose.
It is really, because
That building.
the materials to build it were bought from the nearest village. So and brought down there and built by the way, of course.
So yeah, that is a project we would like to start with. We're getting quotes for painting, and we've got to find someone that can fix plastering, such because it's not everything needs done. And then we would like to really do parts of the inside to make it we're calling it an information hub.
An historic information hub for the Bannockburn area, basically. So it's a lot of Bannockburn history that's quietly disappearing into the wilderness. All our old people are disappearing off. but older people that have been there for a long time, so the history's disappearing. So it would be really great to preserve that history and make it available for some of the new people that have no idea anything about the village and think it's a flash modern town, which is.
And we get a lot of visitors in the domain itself, not just people coming to stay. Lots of parents, grandparents use the playground. The other day I saw about 3 mothers sitting in the playground, and all their toddlers were corralled in the tennis court. They couldn't get out. So they did a lovely little chat while the kids were happy and safe. And then that was another thing. I know we gave the playground back to the council, I think, didn't we? But we're not sure about tennis court. That encompasses the playground? Because we would, I know all around the area, they've been resurfacing these tennis courts and things, and I think maybe Bennett Green could also get a, yeah, 30 years ago, probably, no, that we resurfaced that and did the playground. So I remember my children were, so it's not quite 30 years ago, my children were toddlers when we did that. So that is the sort of thing we would like to, yeah, the long-term plan.
We try and keep our public forum to 5
Oh,
minutes. If
okay.
anything, yeah, anything.
On the other hand, we are working, you know, our camping ground is ticking along. We have got some water issues with the old pipes, which we're talking to Gordon about. We get them to, we're a small committee of about 5. We do everything. We've had staff employed now. We're in the real world. Got a website, booking thing, and a mobile phone, and self check-in. So we're capturing everybody.
So in short, does the recreation committee lease the land
Yes, we do.
off council
We do.
run the camping operation?
With the whole domain, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it, apart from the playground and the tennis court, so to speak.
And
We
the
have-
bowling pubs in there too, over
The
there.
bowling bus is their own lease.
Yeah, yeah.
But we work in with them.
So you're reinvesting any profits from the
Yes,
camping
and
operation
we
into,
have, as per our thing, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've given 20 grand to the bowling club.
yes.
For the estate, we've just given 5,000 to the, I don't think they're not called the hall committee anymore, but they're the managed community centre, because they are trying to put Wi-Fi in. So rather than pay for their Wi-Fi, we just gave them a donation that they could then work in their budget. And we also sponsored the lady that did the Benny Christmas party in December. We haven't advertised donations because we have a relationship with the Bowling Club. We now have a relationship with Mark Christie, who's on the resilience of Benny Arts and the management thing, and Anna Marie Morris is also on the arts thing. So they all know that they can come to us if we have excess. But it is a big old place and it costs
Yeah.
to run.
Oh, thanks for coming in. We don't know until we know.
But
So,
I would like to, you know, offer an invite and come out and
yep.
see, yes, we might just be coming up in a storm. I do have some. Yeah. So anyway, that's
Oh,
us.
thanks for coming in.
Thank you. And I will email a copy of what I'm going to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
And next up, we'll have Caroline Squire.
This is all new to me. I've never been to one of these before, so. Meet you all. Yeah, we wrote an email to many councillors and community board members recently, so you're probably familiar with the content, but I just wanted to kind of put a face to the message and meet people, because it just seemed like an issue that was going to be progressing, you know, whether that's soon or in the long term, something will happen with the council lines on Sandpit Road. And so, yeah, we're just really keen to be a part of the discussion. And so just as an explanation, I kind of represent our family business, which is Linda Sunny, which you would have seen a wee honey shed on Bannockburn Road, but we have a very large business in the pine trees. We produce about 300 tonne of honey a year, which gets sent to, you know, domestic and overseas markets. And I'm also representing Tim and Zoe Wood, who live, but neither of them are able to be here today, but they live in a house right on the border there too. So both of those, you know, buildings are about 30 to 50 metres away from the boundary. And then also my husband are on the corner of Bannockburn and Pearson Road. And we've just put in a new accommodation complex here called The Claim. And we're hoping to expand that over the years. So I think, you know, you guys will probably all agree it's an interesting site because there's a lot of mixed uses. It's kind of residential, you know, the people who live in the pines here consider their, you know, their environment residential, even though it's labelled rural. But then you've also got a lot of activity with highlands. You've got some industrial over Sandpit Road. You've got quite a lot of noise in that catchment area. Especially obviously Highlands the main, you know, for that regard. And And so, yeah, but then we've also got quite a progressive thing happening with tourism, which is really exciting. I think with Bannockburn and Cromwell, that's kind of starting to really kind of come into fruition with the bike trail about to be put in. And people are nervous, obviously, with a lot of people coming through the area. And we're kind of concerned with, a lot of things are going on. And I think we need a really good management and planning process for things that happen in the area to kind of take all of that into consideration. And so for me, I guess the main issues that we were kind of, we don't like to be neighbours who say, hey, you can't do that. We like to just, give everybody space to make their own decisions. But when it comes to obviously to issues around noise and dust and, those types of impacts to existing businesses or existing homes, we think they're worthy of kind of raising a bit of a flag about. So in particular for the honey business, dust is a really big factor for us. We're required to kind of monitor that really carefully in terms of the honey supers coming in, how they get exposed, whether, that they don't get exposed to dust. And then we have a big extraction plant in there. So if we did have a situation where there was a long period of time where the trees were being taken out, or they were taken out and a massive amount of land was left that was just dusty, which we all know that area that's why it got planted in pines because of soils. That would be a really big issue for us. It would just be an ongoing, so we would hope that if large scale developments, that dust mitigation would be taken into consideration. How that happens, I don't know. And in regards to noise, and I think, as a business tourism business down on the corner, we'd be concerned about spreads of dust blowing and people complaining too. You kind of envision worst case scenario, I don't know, it would be, but yes. So if that can be thought through really carefully, that'd be really appreciated. It sounds like this is getting put on hold. But at whatever stage, the trees will have to come out at some point. So
You'll find out at about 2:25 today.
at some point it'll happen, no doubt, because I guess there'll be discussions about that in terms of what the community wants to, which is important. And the other big issue that we were really quite concerned about was the motorcycle track relocating to that site. Certainly nothing against the motorcycle track. I'm really, would really love to support that type of activity, but just in the right place. I know there's a lot of people who love their motorbikes. But because we have a soundscape which is already almost to the point where I would like to move, but we all feel as neighbours, we do really get impacted by highlands, and that's actually increasing because they're more successful with the daily track activities. You do notice it, but also the speedway seems to be. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like there were more events last year. So as a tourism operator, you're always conscious of noise impacting people's experience. And also Tim and Zoe have been very affected by noise over the years. They've been big vocalists, we Highlands went in and whatnot. So if we were to have something that added to that, that would be pretty, honestly, it would be pretty devastating. And I think I just did this picture here, and I counted up 100 homes within a K radius, or a K bit of, where potentially it could go. I know it's not even very far from where it is, but there are still a lot of homes around that area, even though they're not, slightly packed residential like town. There's still a lot of people you take into consideration. So just wanted to put that out there. I don't know what it is, how far that's progressed or anything like that, but that would be another thing that we'd be keen to continue to be aware of as to, what's happening. And
Just before we wrap up in 5 minutes, just keen to hear your opinion of the current motocross track and where you live now
yeah,
in terms of noise.
Yeah, no, I don't think that we'd notice the noise unless it was a nor'wester, and the noise always gets picked up and moved down. So we're not noticing the noise from it at the moment.
Yeah.
We would notice, yeah, as you drive into town, you see the big plumes of dust. And I suppose that's why we're kind of going, oh gosh, I wouldn't want to close it.
There's science behind trees buffering noise, but what's your anecdotal evidence?
That's really fascinating. We find that trees enhance the noise if you've got a clearing.
Yeah.
So if you're in
There's trees on the other side that bounce back at you.
yeah. So the noise kind of comes over, enters into the clearing and kind of echoes around.
Right.
So if you're in the trees themselves, they're probably creating a bit of buffer. I think they are. But if you've got a clearing, you've kind of got this extra factor of it kind of bouncing around the clearing. So yeah.
Has anyone else got them?
I think we should hang around for when we do this discussion on one of the pages that is coming up as well, because that will give you a whole level of clarity on exactly where we're at, and that will hopefully stop some, rumours or whatever getting out there.
Yeah. I know my husband's been chatting to a few people, so thank you for that. But I will.
Thank you. Next up, Lisa. Speaking on behalf of Cromwell Dogs.
Has a decision already been made or?
We'll find out after you.
We've got a paper this afternoon about the trees.
Well, thanks for inviting us. We now have 880 signatures, so 880 people are part of our now registered charity. So we are very serious about keeping Cromwell a dog-friendly place. So that being said, you already know everything that we think because we've been here a few times before, and we've had contact with a lot of you. When we were preparing for this meeting, we found that the agenda said it was like there was two options, and both of them were essentially there's no dog walking area in the Pines anymore. Also no alternative option based on that. So we're really happy if the felling is likely to be paused, but we're concerned obviously about both options because neither of them have taken into consideration the status of dog walking. So we are asking obviously that all we want to do is how can we help you to make you feel safe if you are keeping the Pines. We want to we can do whatever you need. We can put up signs, we can fundraise, we can there's so many of us, there's over 800 of us between us. There's something that we can do to keep the space as is, if for however long it's going to be left the way it is, while still planning to come up with another option, because it sounds like at some point it will come down. But this is a great opportunity for us to work together to keep everyone in Cromwell that has a dog able to exercise their dogs and keep the things that are happening all the time with the off leash. Like on Facebook this week, I've screenshotted a bunch of comments of people dealing with off leash dogs around the lake. And it's obviously not an off leash area, well, Alpha Street is, but so many people have been complaining to Facebook as they do, and also just messaging me because they have a reactive dog and they have dogs running up to them. And the issue is just going to get worse and worse. And I'm greatly concerned about that, but also greatly concerned about the 800 people that we represent and being able to support this entire concept and also work with you. So all we want to do is work with you. We want to do whatever we can to use the space, continue using the space as an off-leash area. We've looked through your arborist report, and essentially said the same thing that our arborist report said, which was 21 out of 12,350 trees are low to moderate risk, which is a very small amount of trees. And people have been walking there for 30 years with no issues. You've done little to no maintenance up to this point. How can we fund to get the 21 trees removed if this is being paused at this point? Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to add?
We can must go to work together on this. Because it's very valuable to all of us. And it's a lovely space. It's also the only fully shaded recreation space we have in this area. Come summer, that's actually pretty important to a lot of, not just dog walkers, as other people as well. It's a lot of use, I think even your arborist suggested what a high use area it was when she was there for 4.5 hours. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, he said he confirms that it was indeed a high use area. So I mean, I don't want to talk for too long. I know I've done that before. So I just want to, yeah, I'm also going to say, how can we work with you to protect the people that own dogs in Cromwell and their dogs, and yeah, like we're here to help.
So yeah, I guess the burning question I've got a few. My burning question would be, to what extent are you advocating for an urban dog park as well as the long ranging one on the outside of town? Have you got any interest in the urban sort of dog park?
No.
Is there an offshoot of your group you've got together that would be advocating for a smaller dog park in town?
Everyone that uses the Pines are people that walk next to their dog with their dog off leash. They're using it for themselves as well. They're not just letting their dog off in a fenced area. So I would imagine, like, looking at the people here, probably shaking heads. Don't want a dog park that's fenced in town.
Do you think anyone would want a dog park that's fenced in town?
I mean, I think there was, when it came up 4 years ago, it was a lot of.
It almost got to the point where it was happening, but then it just fell as for whatever reason. Yeah, okay, so there's no advocacy from your group for that?
No.
Tell us more about your just thoughts quickly on managing access to it. Obviously, yes, there's a small number of trees that are currently dangerous. Over time, more trees could become dangerous, especially with like weather events and things like that. So how would we ensure, in your perspective, that we make sure no one takes undue risk?
Yeah.
in there?
Well, we fundraise to get an arborist to come out. I don't know how often it needs to happen after a big one event or something, but something was deemed a big one event or annually or whatever that looks like in other forests. And as far as signs and things go, like if there's a massive wind event, we can post to the 800 people that use it. We can go out and put signs. I mean, between us, there'll be someone that's going there every day. Take them away when it's safe again or when it's deemed safe again. We know arborists now, so can call them and figure out what exactly that looks like. But happy to put things together with arborist of how that looks. But from your arborist report that you got, it looked a lot like signage was a big thing for him during a wind event, and making sure that people don't enter during the wind event, which could even be on a sign there all the time.
Integrate your arborist, again, state the risks when it's wind high wind, don't go in there.
Yep.
Okay. Also, one of our arborists suggested too that if there was specific trees to be taken down, that they get taken down and offered to community groups for firewood, and they can come and clear it. So
Yeah,
Because
it's
it can give
full.
full access in there, yeah.
We did have one such community group here last month, so they are there.
Yeah. Fundraising.
Oh, thank you. Like I said at the start, there is a paper coming up about those trees, so yeah, stick around to see what it is. Thanks for your time.
I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Mention it. I might be, it's just going out of the direction include virus warnings, just as far as no place with no smoking and stuff. That we-
Good point. Okay, we'll move on to confirmation of previous minutes. Get a read through there. So move that they be accepted. Sarah and Mike. The declarations of interest. A reminder to members that need to be vigilant, stand aside from decision making when a conflict arises between the role as a member and any private or other external interest they might have. And yeah, update. You register to Wayne, Sarah, anytime.
Wayne, just a question on that. That's got nothing to do with the returns that we have to do recently.
No, that's separate.
First report, 26.5.2, that's page 20. What? You got this report to accept the attached petition from Cromwell Dogs. And recommendation is just that the report be noted. Presume everyone's had a read through, I read through.
A few four prints, yeah.
Few four prints, yeah. Subset of the, was 880 people on the trust. So I've moved that report be accepted. Mike and Sarah. All in favour? Yes. Good. So yeah, we'll move on to report 26.5.3. The Bannock Green Forestry Harvest. Yep. Welcome, Gareth, to the table of bits.
I'm going to do this one. Things it's a little bit under the weather. I'll take the reports as you read, and I'll just give a quick summary of events. So, council staff asked the board to consider whether we harvest 2 blocks to make more economical sense when we were developing the Bannock Green industrial block. Some events took place like a war. Diesel prices went through the roof, and we ended up reevaluating the situation. And we are recommending that we put a halt onto the Sandflat Road to harvest, as it's just not economically viable to tackle it at this point in time. During the event, we decided to get a proper report on the trees, and we've got Alan Rory to go and do that report. He's a renowned forestry specialist and is well covered in this area. He came back with a few findings, and I'm just going to, it's the board's decision and ultimately to council, but I'm just going to remind you of a few responsibilities. Once the council and board know that there's something unsafe, we have an obligation under the PCUB BU Act, which basically makes the board and council responsible. So in that being said, we took Laurie's report, which was quite in favour of the tree stay, which we fully agree with. He said that we'd actually get more value out of it if we left for a longer period of time, which we're quite happy about. But it did highlight the fact that every wind event can be a need for concern. Some of them might be a bigger need than not, but it'd rather be safe than sorry. So what does that look like? Every time we have to have the forest assessed, it's going to be a cost of $1,000. We have no budget for this. and we do not have the staff to resource this either. So we have to bring in a consultant to get that handy. That is why our recommendation is just to protect the board and council and the PCP unit to keep the dog status removed off those trees. Under normal circumstances, a private forestry block would not be accessible at all to the public. So we're just following a normal sort of trend. And I'll take any questions.
The economics of the situation. We initially gave a green flag to cut down the trees because it was going to be more efficient. Is there anything you can tell us, noting commercial sensitivity, about how much economics there is between cutting both down or one block of trees down? What are we giving up here?
So if we take discount diesel prices, this would absolutely make sense to drop both blocks.
Yeah.
That way you're maximising on set down costs and maximising on harvest.
Yeah.
And your cottage is your cottage. But with diesel prices going through the roof, so Bannockburn Industrial Subdivision is a completely separate kettle of fish in this respect.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that it is such high value in industrial land. But we think that it's prudent to be responsible as a council and to the ratepayers that we not expose the ratepayers to unnecessary costs. And you can imagine the diesel cartage on those trees would be quite astronomical just with the current diesel prices. So we think it's prudent that we retain the block. Not saying we're going to retain it forever. To be fair, this region doesn't grow great trees. And that's why we feel that we would prefer to look at ultimate investments in that space regardless. Just before I forget, I'd like to table, which we didn't table into this report, but the motocross group have offered to harvest the top triangle between Highlands and the main block, all at their own cost, if they get to develop that into a new track for themselves. I thought I'd just table that.
Yep. I think to just pick up the diesel prices, you can just look at the pump and see that they're sort of 20 and 30% more than what they were 6 months ago. And so without going into commercials, and then just, I guess, Gareth talked about establishment costs. That's bringing all the equipment on site from one place. That's obviously trucking and things like that. And every time you do set up a harvest, requires you to establish. So yeah, probably the two things. But really, for this decision, it's the cost of cartage that makes it currently uneconomic.
And where are we going to? There was discussion about whether we'd break even at all on these trees. Were we going to break even or make any notable money on this?
So on the Roxburgh block that we harvested, so there we were actually forced into a harvest because we had 4 hectares of windrow. So a wind event dropped down 4 hectares of trees. We actually made about $160,000. Yeah, it's about $160,000. And that allowed us to replant the area, plus weed spray and stuff like that. And then I think there was a little bit of money left to develop some cycle tracks and some walking tracks through that block.
Yeah. Cool. There was a note in the report about having a dedicated staff resource to go and take up and put down signs for wind events, which I struggle with the concept of, and it could just be a sign that's left up. And I guess this is where we could bring in David and Peter to the discussion about the liability on council, where I would compare the trees similar to our own mall, just out the front door here, where there's a sign up saying uneven surfaces, you might trip. You can die from falling on your face, just like you can die from having a branch fall on you.
I think one of the key things there is in a wind event, and I think one of the members of the public mentioned it, is that we would have to make sure that somebody went in there every time and checked all the trees. And we couldn't deem the trees even remain safe until that could.
The only thing that has changed is we decided to fell them and then decided to potentially unfell them because of the economics of it. So nothing has actually changed in those states, but now we're saying there's all of a sudden a liability. Are we saying that we were irresponsible as a council prior for not
We didn't have the knowledge, but
Identifying
it's been highlighted.
But the knowledge here is very low risk, right?
But we've still got a responsibility to acknowledge that because it's been brought.
So the government gets really clear on this one. If you know about it and you don't do anything about it, you're really liable for it.
So we can put some signs up, but then do we really need to spend ratepayers' money continuing to put signs up every time there's a wind event for a period of time?
So I'll go back to Rotorua example. They had a report saying that a whole lot of trees weren't safe. The council decided to do nothing about it. And a week later, one was killed by a widowmaker. And then all of a sudden there was a knee-jerk reaction. So you don't want to be in that situation.
So but we've identified 21 trees that are.
Well, you say 21 trees, but he didn't assess every single tree. He did it on average. So just by walking a few. And he identified 21 trees within his average walk. So there could be potentially quite a few more.
Right. Okay. So 21 trees is what he thinks is the statistical.
Well, what he walked and checked, yes.
So he found 21 trees, or are you saying 21 trees across the whole block?
No, I think he found 21 trees. Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually a lot more than 21 trees.
Well, we don't know that, but on his walk, he did a sort of a average pattern walk, and in that walk he found 21 trees. The one shot.
So there's 20. We know for certain there's at least 21 unsafe trees, but likely to be a lot more than that, depending on how much he actually sampled. Do we know how much he sampled?
I think there was a report he walked every 2 row or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And of the 21 trees identified, which was, you know, he hasn't identified all the trees. I guess you're right. The risk is low. Now we have an arborist report which tells us there is a risk associated with 21 trees. Which has some risk mitigation in place. You know, it's true, we don't have the resource to keep putting signs up, putting signs down, and thinking about the severity of the wind events here. And the fact is too, you know, within the wind events, the nature of the trees and the risk changes. So there is a valid point to say after a strong wind event, we know there's already 21 potentially, it could be more.
Yeah.
We would have to understand it. We can't absolve ourselves of that responsibility. Yeah. And I just think was it last year, a chap was walking in Mount Victoria, Wellington, strong wind event, and he was hit by a tree.
Yeah.
So the risk at times can be real, even though it's low. I mean, I'm pretty sure people are pretty sensible not to go walking in high wind events here in Central Otago, because they are quite significant, the winds that come through sometimes in that spread. If an accident, there could be liability come back on council.
And so that's a measurement of that risk, right? Because then there's an infinite number of ways to enter that forest.
That's right.
So I'm not recommending this in any way to stretch, but wouldn't you not want to fence the whole forest off to stop people going in there to avoid that risk?
So the law says do it what's practically big. That doesn't make economic sense to fence it.
Yeah.
You know, I think education to the public, people are not that stupid.
Hanging up signs every wind event doesn't make economic sense. Getting this forest reviewed every time there's a wind event doesn't make economic sense. So therefore just hang up signs?
So we wouldn't do that if the forest was not accessible to the public.
Yeah, and what do you mean? So you're saying ban everyone from going?
So if you lift the dog, well, the dog status is lifted at the moment. If you keep it lifted, then there's no liability. So everyone entering that forest is doing so at their own risk.
Yeah, is that enough then? Like we hang up signs and then just say you're entering at your own risk? Whether they take a dog in there or not is.
You could say that, but then the point is, has council taken every practicable step to reduce the risk? Because look, let's be honest, we put up sites that enter at your own risk. People will enter at their own risk. And some people might go in the window edge as well. I mean, it's very hard to go absolutely zero.
I completely agree with you. So this is the thing, right? Like it just comes down to, do you hang up a sign every time there's a wind event and get it reassessed, or do you just hang up a sign?
I think you would have to have a permanent sign
Yeah.
on the 4 or 5 main avenues to say, you know, council, if it's closed, and if people enter beyond this point, then you are entering at your own risk, and do not enter, well, during the wind event either, you know, so, you know, how much public information can you put up there? Because people are free to make their own mind and assess risks themselves. but ultimately, as owners of that land, and now the sentiment that someone does go on a wind event and a log falls down, then what is the liability? Queenstown had that liability at the jet boating area where a family was sitting under a tree. They knew there was a risk with that tree. They knew the arborist report said it was dangerous, and a family was significantly impacted when that tree gave away in a wind event. So the council knew there was a risk, didn't do anything about it. We now know there's a risk, albeit it's low, but we know there's a risk. How do we mitigate our responsibility?
And the other option, of course, is to continue to take the trees down if they're a risk.
Yeah, yes, and that and at considerable cost.
Yeah.
And would that meet the requirement of all? Because I don't think you actually have to remove a forest to take all practicable steps.
Yeah. It seems like there's a cost to ratepayers no matter what, though, isn't there? Like either we're hanging signs up regularly and getting it reassessed constantly every time there's a wind event, or we're putting up a fence, or we're felling the trees.
Or you just say no access.
Yeah, I mean, it's no access probably still needs to be supported by signage to recognise that there's still a risk, because people will make their own mind.
Removing the dog walking status as we can doesn't preclude you from walking a dog there. It just means we don't endorse it as a dog walking.
You don't endorse the exit if you're walking in that area trespass. Yeah, we don't have the resources to remand it. So, but that's effectively what it means. So it means it's like every other private forestry block. There is no access to the public. And if you were caught on a private forestry block, you would be prosecuted.
Forestry block with public access. Like
But that's the assessment, and that's what they deem acceptable.
There's a campsite in Monaco with a lot of pines in our town, and they have signs up in the pines that says don't camp here in the wind, but they still function as a campsite. People have to make the choice of whether the signs.
Also, can I just point out that there's been no maintenance done on the trees for how long, and there's only 0.17% of them at risk now. So it's been 30 years or however long they've been there. So every time
We have had the public forum that was wrapped up at 1:30. So I think we need to move this on, and that's in relation to the recommendations, right, for the paper that's in front of us. So the recommendations that we have in front received a report of legal significance. Recommends to council to delay harvesting the block until global stability returns to maximise financial return. Could be discussion on that. Recommends to council to keep the dog walking status removed to ensure public safety while reducing the exposure to risk. I think reducing is a key word there, it's not eliminating anyway. And recommends to council to install adequate signage. I guess points B and C lead into what would be on the signage. There's going to be signage go up. What are we putting on it?
So it could work for point B, recommends to council that the delay of harvesting the block until the future use of the land is better determined.
Yep. So that covers the trees. That covers the felling of the trees if we went for that. And the other matter is the dog walking status. Recommendation C recommends to council to keep the dog walking status removed.
So can we just highlight something? So Gareth said they'd technically be trespassing. Does that mean they'd be trespassing with a dog, or just trespassing full stop if they went on their land moving forward?
Yeah, anyone who walks on that land. This is not targeting the dog owners. This is targeting everyone in the public.
So it wouldn't be dog walking status that we're keeping that off.
Well, because if you're leaving it on, then you're advocating for people to use that area.
So okay, so you're removing the dog walking status, and therefore just so we're very clear.
There is no other public access status that we have on those blocks. It was only deemed for dog walking at one point in time.
Can you explain to me, just, I don't really understand that, so I'm sure most people that are sitting here don't either. Council land, got some trees on it, regardless of the tree status, how does that work with general public ratepayers, etc., being able to access that land and the designation of the dog walking or otherwise? How are they like that? The order is there to become trespassing if you're accessing that land because of the dog. Can you just explain that clearly so we get that? So
Because that's not a reserve.
Correct. So this is a forestry block.
that's what we need to understand, is that use and the access to the land and what it is and what it isn't. I think it's a bit messy.
So this is an investment forestry block.
Right.
It's not a reserve at all. So where you've got reserves for public access, that's actually designed for this. This is a commercial forestry block. So it's meant to have a return between 34 and 40 odd years. And then you replant it again or you reuse it for, which is exactly what the board has directed us to do. Somewhere in the past, and I don't know who it was, said, let's make it a dog friendly zone. And at the time, great idea, right? But now that we know what we know, it's just a risk to the board and to council. And effectively, liability does sit with council. So any operational liability, just to, if you guys didn't know this, David and Peter in the firing line. So as a responsible officer, I will highlight these dangers. And if something happened to anyone in the public in those areas, David and Peter would be liable for a fine and or jail time. So that's how serious this is.
Particularly if they haven't followed any sort of course of remedial action leading up to that. Right?
So if it gets ignored by the board and council, it's the board and council's choice, but David and Peter cannot ignore that. So that's where they have actual operational control and they can step in, override the board and council and say, no access to this area. We're not trying to do that now. We're trying to put the argument through to the board and to the council to make a logical recommendation and say, considering the risk factor, do you want to take that chance or don't you want to take that chance?
It's my worldview that a sign up is enough. That's just the way I see the world. That putting a sign up lets people make a conscious decision for themselves whether they enter an area or not and what they do. What are the other thoughts around the table?
I think exactly the same, because if we were really concerned about access for safety and jail time, all that stuff, we'd stick a fence up or we'd take the trees down. You know, that's the
I think
where I land on that.
if we go up around what goes on the sign, that'll be an operational thing. But here it is that we recommend that we install signage and we can work out ourselves what that sort of says to make sure we're mitigating risk.
Being rewriting all sorts of warnings, go to town, but put the sign up.
Due diligence, isn't it?
And this covers that whole, like, so there's the triangle on the other side of the path. Is this the whole block there is covered by the same, all those trees, forestry block, including the triangle?
So like I said, a table that the motocross company has offered to remove that top triangle because they want to redirect the
That's not even.
Yeah, and so I thought I'd just table that so you know that you've got a whole lot of options on there.
That's good to know, but that's an influence and offer as to land use there, isn't it? We don't want to go. So that's open to all other users. It's.
Yeah, points to split it up. What's the operational yarn between, like 2 months ago, we agreed to remove the dog walking status of the block. You look on the GIS right now and it's still showing as a dog walking area. I would have thought that it would be removed practically when a sign went up saying.
So as far as I was aware, that it has been removed.
Yeah, it's not on the GIS.
Right, okay. But it should have been removed.
Because would it be your understanding that the dog walking status was removed at the moment that was agreed in the meeting?
Well, we had a recommendation from council, and while we worked through a few things, what we didn't want to do is jump the gun. We worked through a few things, and when we commissioned the report and it was delayed to get commissioned, we issued the instruction to have the status removed.
Yeah.
So as far as I was aware, it was removed.
Yeah, so I think these good, because timing the market on diesel on logs, it might mean if we do that, that we're then waiting forever So at least saying when future land uses can determine that can
Yeah.
lead to future.
So we have got a recommendation for board and from council that we go ahead and investigate triple investment opportunities.
Yeah.
So that is still live and we'll still go ahead and do that.
Gareth, anything in point B that if we change that wording, does that affect you in any way?
No,
That's about the dog walking status. Rebecca, what have you got to say?
So my thoughts were recommends to council that this be noted as a public piece of land that members of the public are able to use at their own risk. And therefore that's where D comes in.
so this is not public.
No, so that's, it's
Commercial forestry block.
Yeah.
Owned publicly.
It is owned, but in correct terms, it's extra public block.
Do you want to put something in there, given the enthusiasm from dog walkers and other amenity users? Do you want to have a clause in there that notes that this is an ongoing discussion in the long-term plan? Because
Long-term plan's a financial strategy and tool, isn't it? We're talking
well,
about
there's a plan that contains all sorts of different things, not just in relation to financials. So one of the things that's come through council thus far is noting the enthusiasm from, in particular, the Cromwell community, but also the TDA and Mayfield, to have something that is enabling dog walking in a variety of ways in their area, and that could be explored as we also look at things like the fees people are charged to register their dogs. So that ties into quite a big conversation.
Maybe
You might like to highlight that you are aware that that conversation is ongoing.
maybe because Lisa identified it as well, we specifically mentioned off-lead dog walking in the LTP plan and the LTP show.
As it comes through.
What do you reckon? Because if we do the dog park down on wherever it needs to be, obviously that's not going to suit every dog owner, whereas make sure that the LTP has off-lead dog walking in it, wherever that ends up.
Yeah. I mean, we can have off-lead dog walking. The question is, though, from the group about whether it's going to be big enough
Or suitable in the
or
shape.
suitable.
Shape seems to be the other one.
You can work through
Everything, the platform, there are all sorts of different aspects that you can work through in the long-term plan, which also ties into the conversations that we have with our partner agencies like Lynn's about what land they have that's available for people to walk the dogs on fish. Some of that, I'm really fast down to be quite a good show.
Essentially.
It's like in the church.
Essentially.
That's like,
Yeah, I think the discussion needs to include the dog walkers or fish and what we can do to accommodate that. So I absolutely don't want to try and kill the conversation. It's just where is it going to be suitable?
Final question, Gareth, is there any, is it feasible to treat the triangle at the top any differently from the rest of the forest? And that could be close off everything else and just keep that triangle and manage that in a slightly different way to avoid Peter and David's risks, give these guys the land use for a bit longer.
Depending on, well, if it's harvested, then absolutely we can use that differently. But if it's not harvested, you carry the same risk.
if that's not how it's like, for council, the burden on council staff to go and assess the forest is essentially, well, different magnitudes, but someone still has to go out, whether it's a small forestry block or a big forestry block.
We don't have,
You go through that recommendation from your,
we don't have a qualified arborist.
yeah.
Wayne, I just wonder if you might like to put notes the Cromwell dog community's request for additional off-leash. Cromwell dog community. It's request for off-leash dog walking areas as part of the LTT consideration. 2027 to 37.
What are we doing with C? It's crux of the issue.
Sorry?
Are we leaving C?
Can I make my last statement on that? If you leave C as is, then we're all good from our point of view. If you change C, then effectively you're giving a green light to expose us to risk. So my recommendation to council will not change.
See, I just keep going back to that triangle at the top, whether that could
That will come back as a.
So we'll come back and then come back with options. Yeah, have a look at
That
it.
will?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes that a bit easier.
If you have a bit of time with this to come back and look at options on how you might use the lift.
Yeah, Sarah?
Some big red signs and people will do as they choose, I think is everybody's an adult can assess their own risk.
Well, if you were saying that, we are saying that we
No,
do
but
not
they-
accept.
They know in that, we're saying that that's.
Yeah, and I think
They
that
do.
this board
We've
needs
made
to
that
be really clear. You are putting signs up to say you cannot enter this area. It's not, you read the signs and then make your own decision. It is, we do not want you in here because the risk to your life and well-being is too great. And we're actually not going to put that on David and Peter.
Yeah.
So it's not make up your mind, look at the sign and see if it's windy. It's do not go in this area.
But the sign is just there.
Yeah, saying do not go in this area.
I suppose, I mean, I'm comfortable that the benefit of a off-leash designated area is that if you want to walk in there without a dog, then you can expect to see a dog at some point. And likewise, if you go in there with a dog in an off-leash dog exercise area, you can expect not to find the general public in there. So if people still want to ignore the sign and go in there, then
No, it's not. We do not want people ignoring signs and going in this area because we have said it is unsafe. Full stop. So that's what this board needs to decide. If that's what you're putting up as option C, it is telling your public of Cromwell, do not go in here. It is not safe. Not make up your own mind. It's really got to be a hard no, guys.
yeah.
So you're making that decision based on C, thinking about the professional advice we have said that says that it is unsafe and understanding the liability that we carry if we are then telling people they can make up their own mind. And I think it's important that we do note E, we have recognised from this community that they want more areas to exercise their dogs, that there are not enough and that these areas are valued and where else can we go?
And we recognise that with C, that there'll be something else coming to us around that triangle at the top and what could be.
That's
I think there's a different matter.
Don't confuse this.
Yeah.
The mere
We'll do another,
Yeah.
sorry,
The safety of the trees has been raised to us, and we have to take appropriate action.
while those trees are not being harvested, this is our recommendation. Let's stop.
We'll just do one more run through recommendations that the Cromwell Community Board received the report, accepts the level of significance, recommends to council to delay harvesting of the block until the future use of the land is determined, recommends to council to keep the dog walking status removed to ensure public safety while reducing the exposure to risk, recommends to council to install adequate signage, and notes the Cromwell dog community's request for off-leash dog walking areas as part of the long-term plan 2737 considerations. Do I have a mover?
Yeah, I'll move it. That's,
Right.
yeah.
Seconder?
Yeah.
Rebecca?
Thank you, Gareth.
All those in favour?
Oh, tough call.
Has the status of that land ever actually been communicated to that degree? I feel like that's the first time. Fully understood.
It's not public.
That it's not, yeah. I think that there is a huge misconception there that we have just made a
We
decision.
cannot decide for just failure. That was all in place. And I'm not someone who goes,
In that.
yeah, one of the first things we identified when I took over forestry was why is the public accessible? It was a question that I raised, because it just doesn't mean, okay. And I do know the risk of the council on this one.
So
But I'm not joking, right? There's a massive risk to David and to Peter in the social.
Oh, and yeah, and we cannot do anything for it.
Yeah.
But we understand that, that's what we're here for, to make
What
sure.
is also, what is
I
also
think we
massive
can,
risk,
we
we're
can
going to
discuss
get
this, Harrington.
yeah, so we've got to make sure we come up with a solution, because
Yeah.
we're going to get crucified for that.
We'll move on to our next item, which is. Yeah, we've done all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow.
So page 60, Mike.
If you say me, but thank you for the heads up.
26.5.4. Cromwell Town Centre Steering Group. The purpose of the report is to appoint a Cromwell Community Board member to the project steering group at Cromwell Town Centre. Recommendations.
Gareth there talked to us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Warren.
yeah, I'll just run through what the purpose is. Recommendation that Cromwell Community Board receives the report and accepts the level of significance. Appoints a Cromwell Community Board member to the Cromwell Town Centre Project Steering Group and approves the terms of reference for the project steering group. Now I'll hand it over to David, Gareth, Bex.
I'll take the report as read, and Wally did a great summary. Any questions? No, just. So effectively, this is quite an exciting project that we're litigating. It's a very big project, and what we're learning is a project steering group is absolutely fundamental to the success of these projects. So the council has appointed Councillor Charlie Sanders as the council member for this group, and we would like the board to appoint one of their members to be part of the project steering group. It will take up a bit of time, but it is pretty exciting, and we get to primarily you get to feedback to the board on all the activities that are going to place with the project, and it's actually to get this project some wheels in motion and actually make it happen. So and then accept the terms of reference. They're pretty standard terms of reference, and I'll take any questions.
There was something in here about the longevity of the role. At what point was the role looking to cease to exist? What's the milestone where that role would cease?
So once you go into construction, I think it just becomes a liaison role.
Yeah.
So it's just updating on what the status is. Obviously, the team does that as well. But we happily invite the members to still be part of that process. But effectively, you go through your inception, planning, design. When you get into execution, it becomes a liaison role.
Yeah.
Does it just have to be one community board rep?
That's your choice. What I would recommend is that we don't make it too many voices. You know that old analogy, too many chefs in the kitchen. Same sort of thing, and you kind of want to keep it. You just want to keep it streamlined.
Yep.
So, and the whole point of you guys voting is that you have the confidence in your member to carry your message forward.
Cool. I'll Max Sarah.
Me too.
Just, I'm happy that it's a lot of work. I would say, having been on the full one. Like it is a lot of work. I would be excited to be part of it. There we go. Never go happy with any one of us doing that. I think it's really important that whoever it is, you've got the time to do it, and it is that circular. No, it's that figure out. You get your information, it comes back, and that's probably more important than being on the group itself almost, because that's where. In some projects, there's been quite a disconnect. So I think this role is really the tether to do that. And
I certainly don't think it can be me, because I don't have enough time.
yeah, that's good.
So,
And as you work through, if you don't feel like anybody has the capacity to do this, then that is a consideration for the board. And actually, would you rather have it reported back to you in a different way because people don't have the capacity? Is something that you could.
I think it's a really important role for the person to convey the board's view to the group and the group view back. Like it's really that intermediate between what's happening and what we turn up to board meetings. The reason you would have a person is so we're not effectively having a board meeting every 2 weeks, right? Or every week, or it might be twice a week, depending. What are you thinking, Gary?
I think while we go through the incentive, look, we've got a really tight time frame. So we've got to get sort of concepts and options and estimate costs by September. So that's pretty quick turnaround. You're then probably going to go into a bit of a lull while we massage that into the LPT document, and then it 1 July next year we hit the ground running, and then it's going to be quite active in its space. And I think when I say active, I'm underplaying it a little bit because there's going to be a lot of engagement with, you know, the private building owners and business owners and the like, and actually get buying through this. So I think 1 July it's going to get real busy, and of course assessing all the, because you're going to get lots of people participating in the consultation with LTP. It's going to come back and it's going to be assessed as well. So, but I think 1 July is really when it's, well, from now until September, and then 1 July, it's going to be pretty busy.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've had a nomination for second. I'd third that.
Sweet.
If you're up for it.
Capacity to consider it, or is that something you're not?
Oh, I'm really good at putting my hand up for stuff.
I'm going to keep going on Cromwell's. Got a lot of
Yeah, I'm Cromwell's.
Because I've got back surgery scheduled sometime in the next, it's not going to be in the next 2 months, I've just found out. It will be sometime after that. So I might not make some good decisions. The shower that was good though. You might get a tower with a toilet, you never know.
Cromwell Tower and Sheriff on the Big Group.
Yeah.
I think, can I just talk operationally? So this will be the third time that we've done this. So the first one was with Hi and Alex. The second one was with the operating model.
Yeah.
And this would sort of be the third time. It is a bit of work for no extra pay, and especially on a project like this that is going to come at a bit of, it will come at a bit of pace. You know, we do have a bit of a dedicated team in-house to work through this as well. So I do just want to make sure that there is consideration for workload with everything that's going on right now, just to make sure.
The next few months I've got capacity to do that, if that's a really short time frame. But after that.
Look, I think we're going to be pretty close to the board and council over these next couple of months, because we're going to have to be testing a whole lot of stuff. Bex is going to scramble a paper together in the next 2 weeks for options, just so we can formalise on the basis of what we had at the workshop today. And I think, you know, it's going to be a lot of concept drawing and then, you know, reviewing some stuff until we actually hit September. And then hopefully September we've got a really good steer. So I think we're going to be, you know, doing a lot of meetings with the board and council. But 1 July next year, that's when it really starts happening.
Yeah.
Is it doable for you?
I've been on the hall one, and now it's not the hall anymore. I'm out of that. You know, it was the hall when I was on it. I think we need to prioritise this, and I would prioritise that as part of that. And the more work than I pay is irrelevant, because that's not why we're doing this. 100% happy with that. I will put everything into it. The caveat there is that should that get to a point where it is, if somebody could step in, albeit temporarily or whatever, if we can have that flexibility, that would be really awesome. Because the priority for this role would be that we are 100% available. And to say now, yep, I'm great, and then suddenly it changes in a few months and it's like, oh, actually, I'm not making meetings. To have that interchangeable option. So we've got open communication. I wouldn't see a problem with that at all. Yeah, I mean, we do teams for the deployment stuff, and it all works out well. And I would love to see this go at the pace it needs to. So I would love that. I think my request would be that I'm not just being pushed out there to do it and we all sit back and everybody else is like, oh, what happened in the meeting? Like, I would like us to be really invested in that. And it's probably something as a board we need to take on as a group in the background. And I might come back to you with, like, this happened here and we do that, but it's a group behind the group. With
if you're requiring, if you are out and requiring someone to step in your absence, I think that's quite, and that's why I asked, is it, could you have two?
Yeah. I mean, it's not binding in terms of, like,
I mean,
if you can't go.
if you guys want to bite on two,
I'd love the experience, but look, I haven't even been in for a year, but am I the right person?
It's a band with a lead singer, right? And sometimes you can't tell who the lead
Yeah,
singer.
actually, you have to respect shadowing.
Oh, 100%. Like having that take in, take out possibility if it does. It's a long project and we need to make sure we're putting the right resource in it that can maintain the momentum. That's all I'm worried about.
I think we need to name someone, but.
I'm happy to be that someone, but having a job is great.
We should recommend two though, so everyone knows our intentions, right, and the recommendation.
And one of us is there and primarily.
Rebecca can go to all the meetings and.
so we're going to accept two. If you recommend two, we'll accept two.
Then that would be awesome if we can. Just
Bring on.
If you're a guy,
I'm actually going to.
and Chairman also Sarah, are you all good?
You bring this to the sugar. Yeah, she's writing that down. Look. What's stuff here? Yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Also, so yeah, if that works, we'll do.
and I'd expect the rest of the board to be not far behind. with
And
the
that's,
system.
yeah, that's what I mean, like, it's got to be a group effort regardless, and I think as a board, I have to say, I think we're awesome at that.
Yeah.
The comms is great, the support's great, the answer's great, so.
So Wayne can just add that into the recommendation.
There's a recommendation for Councillor Brown and Ms Anderson as the. Yeah.
I've never heard Charles speak as much as he does when the town centre. for the
He was
council.
100% the right choice.
So,
No.
he was.
Oh, cool. We've got that. Good time. So, I'll move the recommendations A, B, and C as shown on the screen. Accepted. Mike? Second.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry?
Rebecca?
Thank you.
Good.
Well done, Zane.
Welcome. Thank you. On favour?
Right.
All right, now we need to switch around to an additional paper, right?
Yep. This is the late report.
Yeah, the late report, yeah.
I've got some corrections.
There you go, that late report. there. It's the bulk. Yeah, so we've got a report 26.5.12 now. Draft budget recommendation for long-term plan 27-37. Purpose of the report is to consider the provision of community board grants and confirm the value of relevant grant budgets. Recommendations. Yeah, so, is that on the recommendations?
No, yeah, corrections on the recommendation.
Yeah, okay. We'll hand over to Rebecca to run through them.
So, kia ora everybody. Firstly, apologies for the lateness of the paper, and which has also led to the incorrect figures being inserted. So what we, Dylan actually alluded us to, what we haven't done is incorporate the inflation figures into the grant budget. So the correct figures should be, for the 27-28 year is 52,860 for the community grants budget. And for the promotions and events grants budget is 112,295. So apologies for that error.
So 112.
Yeah, 112,295.
So these inflation calculations are done every 3 years.
They're done. We've managed to get them into when they do. So if there's an annual plan, there is one. So this year's figures, for instance, is 51,455 for community grants and 109,310 for what we were trying to indicate in the original resolution was that the I think it's about right. Your grant levels are about right. You don't need to do a massive increase. Or decrease. But that inflation adjustment was hard fought, and it's not something we should do easily. And so yeah, we should want to get that correction in.
No, I'm really happy with that. I was going to raise that $50,000 in 2037. Didn't seem like a lot of money. So no, I'm all good.
Okay, so we've got numbers on our report in front of us, but Wayne, if you want to put that up on screen, just so we want to see what actions.
And they'll be inflation adjusted, so that's the first year one of the LTP, and so year 2 to 10 would be inflation adjusted.
So and that's based on the current CPI for that year.
It's how we would finance cost.
Yeah, we get it there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They do.
If they're looking at inflation for rates, they're looking at inflation for our grants.
We did ask the finance team, but got quite a negative response.
Cool.
For Peter as well, make sure we're on what we're agreeing to, and then we'll go.
It's it one if we can say it's 52860. So I'd like to give myself an extra price vote. And then 112295, then it's that's right. But if we could say instead of it saying for each year of the 27, is it 27? We just need to get inflation for
Adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Okay.
for community grants.
And then you could just put after LTP, comma, adjusted annually for inflation.
Wow, that's really concise. I love that.
Less is more.
The exact same one.
Yes.
Good bit of recommendation. I'll read it out. Recommendation that the Cromwell Community Board receives a report and accepts level of significance. Recommends to council a total of $52,860 be allocated through the LTP budget process.
I've just got one more correction, Molly.
Yeah.
This delegation remains with the board. So I don't think it needs to be recommended to council. Isn't this the only?
Addition of the money wouldn't it?
No, I think the only rate.
Council, the only ones that can put it in the budget.
Yeah.
I think the value would go to council, but
It's not to be given out.
yeah.
No, I think, remember, the delegation was changed and the delegation was that the board gets to decide the level of its grants budget. Of course, council gets to then decide the budget, but it's the only,
If we said $14 million, I don't think we get it through.
but it's the only rate, it's the only local rate is grants. It's actually a represents council, but I think the decision rests with the board. From memory, Wayne, have you got the delegation?
I think the decision on the applications sits with the board, but.
I think to say what the money is, but I think because you can't rate, I think you still would have to ask council for the money, but you get to say what the money is.
Yeah.
You can make grants and donations, but it doesn't say anything about setting the money for.
I think we'll leave
Yeah.
we'll leave it.
If it comes to council and the council says, oh no, we think it should be 10,000, there will be another conversation.
Well, that would be all right.
Okay, I'll start that again. Receives the report and accepts the level of significance. Recommends to council a total of $52,860 to be allocated through the LTP budget process for community grants for each year of the 27-37 LTP adjusted annually for inflation. And C, recommends to council a total of $112,295 be allocated through the LTP budget process for promotions and event grants for each year of the 27-37 LTP adjusted annual inflation. Do I have a mover? Sarah. Second.
Yes.
All in favour?
Giving it out before you even finish signing.
I work from finance and as well. What your explanation? That's from finance.
You've just been required for the CFO. Thank you. Can you?
They won't be watching us from up there.
It's quite embarrassing to look at that.
Okay, we'll move on to our mayor's report now.
I'm delighted to present my report to you, and this month I have divided into regional matters of interest and Cromwell matters of interest. And I'll send it to you, Wayne. The regional deal work continues through the OCL partnership with ongoing negotiations focused on transport, health, electrification, and governance arrangements, and further engagement with ministers is anticipated. Otago mayors have been working together on the future shape of local government, with all options still on the table, including potential participation in the Head Start process and further analysis of costs, risks and benefits across the region. There is a public survey currently open on the Otago Mayoral Forum website, so it would be great if you guys could fill it out, and also encourage the your communities to fill it out.
Just clarify, the board can fill out that one.
The board can fill out that one. Yeah. Progress on regional health services was a key development with the release of the clinical services plan and significant investment signalled for Central Otago and Queenstown Lakes. Council has reiterated its willingness alongside the CCB to make land available should future health services, including a hospital, be required in Cromwell. Had a number of meetings with ministers, fellow mayors and our local ORC representatives, as well as hosting the Zone 5 and 6 conference with Mayor Dan Gordon in Christchurch. And
How was that?
really good, yeah, great turnout, probably about 100 people from every county on South Island.
Yes.
And Chathams came as well. Cool, yeah. So that was neat. Long-term plan work has continued with Cromwell priorities, including the town centre, growth, recreation, tourism and economic development, strategic partnerships, Sand Flat Road and Murray Point Road sealing, and community infrastructure such as dog exercise areas. This will all be subject to consultation feedback early next year. The Cromwell Town Centre has been identified as a key consultation topic for the long-term plan, and earlier this morning we had a walk around with a number of other councillors who attended too, which was really neat. Work has continued on progressing to the opening date of Te Puna Mahara Cromwell Memorial Event Centre, including a brand and vision workshop. The facility is being positioned as a multi-purpose community space with strong emphasis on local use, while also supporting regional and visitor attraction through events and conferences. Progress on the Cromwell Museum has also been ongoing, with staff working with the Museum Trust on governance and transitioning them to the new facility, which is very exciting. I've met with the new Chief Executive of the Otago Polytech, Andrew McSweeney, alongside local boss John Christie, to talk through the possibilities for the Polytech as Cromwell and Central Otago continue to grow. It was a really positive discussion, and I think Andrew was quite surprised by some of the numbers for what is coming at Cromwell and the wider region in the next 10 years. And I also had a tour of 13 Inniscourt Street, which Shane and Maria have done a wonderful job renovating, and a huge amount of work in the background. I think Maria's found her passion project of all the history of the place and just how long it's been there and the type of people who've lived there over the years, and finding all these gems and tons of research. It's really, really interesting, and it's cool that they are planning to open this for a public look through in the coming weeks so that the people of Cromwell can go and check it out as well. That's my report.
Cool. Been busy.
Well, that was, you had to, you're in the cold while I was out.
I know, yeah. When are you going to be mayor in Zone 6? Exactly.
Why are you so sick?
Yeah, well, Zone 5 and Zone 6.
Because we don't have a mayoral helicopter. Yet.
The Contemporary can pay for that. It's rateable just across there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even know.
All in favour? Aye. I'll email you, Wayne, but, here's report, stand in tune. This month I attended school camp at Whiwhitaki Marae with my friend Dave here. Did very well, keeping the kids in line. Attended meetings with Central Otago Tracks and Wheels in my board liaison role. Cromwell's has not gained any traction as a name, unfortunately.
Just keep saying it. Just keep saying it.
I took a tour of Te Puna Mahara a couple of Fridays ago. That place is amazing. Can't wait to show up to everyone on the 18th of July, is it?
17th.
17th?
18th, public, 17th, with all the blessings.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yes, everyone, yeah.
Doors wide open on the 18th, everyone.
Yeah.
Attended soccer on Sundays, apart from a trip to Makoga last Sunday, and it wasn't raining for the first time we've been there for a random visit. And yeah, this morning, as Tamer said, town centre workshop with all the councillors and board and staff, and it was very well attended, albeit low numbers from the public, but it's very useful for everyone to get their eyes on what's ahead of us. That's our next big thing.
The battle of the main streets.
Battle of the main streets. Yeah. I'll move that my report be accepted.
We're all in favour.
All in favour?
Me. I had a quiet month, which was quite nice. I invited to the Central Otago Speedway AGM on the 9th of May.
It's Speedway.
Speedway. Yeah. I didn't stay too long. It was quite a long meeting. 18th May I attended the Old Cromwell monthly meeting. They have a midwinter function for all the tenants of Old Cromwell in June, which I'm also invited to, with drinks and canapes. That's quite exciting. And a tour of Te Puna Mahara a couple of Fridays ago. Just about sounds with my fellow board members. Yeah, like everyone else.
We learned how much more loves now.
Great band. Don't let anyone tell you different.
And then Sunday, a week ago, we held a Cromwell Rowing Plus prize giving for the end of season down at the Water Sports Centre. And and our tour this morning around the town centre workshop. Pretty quiet, so But that's me. I'd like to move my report.
No, we're all together. You're not special enough. You have to wait.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Told you, sis.
I've had a very, very hectic month, most of it probably national focused rather than locally focused. On the 7th of May, I had Tamer and Kim out on my farm with David Seymour announcing the Ministry for Regulation review into solar red tape. So that was very, very exciting. The whole goal really is to bring down the complexities associated with installing solar across the country, using CODC as an example of how to not stand in the way, which I think is very, very cool. And maybe our neighbours as an example of how to stand in the way should you want to. So that was a good one. On the 8th of May, I met with Chris Bishop to discuss the ratepayers assistance scheme and some EV policy, namely around salary sacrifice in Australia and bringing that over to New Zealand. So that went very well. So we'll see what happens there. But my goal is to still try and get the ratepayers assistance scheme over the line before this election. And if not, make sure everyone has it in their policy for the election so that we can get that implemented. On the 11th of May, I'm now a finalist for the Rural Champion of the Year Awards through the primary industry of New Zealand through Federated Farmers. So that's pretty exciting. First time a cherry farmer has ever been up for that award. So I think that's pretty cool. 12th of May, I was on the Rural Exchange podcast, again, talking about farmers' roles in the energy system. 14th of May, New Zealand Geographic is doing a massive article on solar on farms. And so they came out to farm for basically a full day of photography and interviewing and stuff, which was cool. 15th of May was another podcast at the Mountain Club in Queenstown. And the 17th and 19th of May was very, very hectic. That was the Electrify Queenstown event, which is a massive event that I reckon we might be able to steal the Te Puna Mahara in the next couple of years. They involved the political debate around energy. I met with Simon Watts to discuss the RAS and some climate policy. Met with Shane Jones to discuss LNG and the RAS. Was referred to as a really good lobbyist by both Shane Jones and Chloe Swarbrick on stage, which I took as an honour. And I had dinner with Chris Hipkins to again talk about ratepayers assistance scheme. So you can see what I've been up to, really. And as a result of that, I also unfortunately missed the Cromwell Promotions group meeting, monthly meeting, due to being in Queenstown for all that stuff. And then on the 22nd of May, like everyone else, was at the Te Puna Mahara for the key handover, which was pretty cool. On the 21st of May, adding something in, sorry, Wayne, that I didn't send you, I also went to Christchurch for the Beef and Lamb conference, again, talking about the role farmers will play in the future of the energy system. The 26th of May, recorded a podcast with Federated Farmers on solar. I met with the New Zealand initiative regarding the ratepayers assistance scheme to try and get them over the line and supporting it, which went better than I thought it would, which is good. And then met with David Seymour and the Ministry of Regulations, to talk about the ratepayers assistance scheme with them. So really working on that edge of the political sphere now to try and get this over the line. And the 28th to 29th of May, I attended the Merihika Region Conference in Invercargill, which is put on by the Manata Whenua down there, which is all about energy and electrification opportunities. And again, once again, purchased a ratepayers assistance scheme from an iwi Manata Whenua perspective as well. And then hung out with you guys today on the 10th. That's good nice.
Thanks, Mike.
So you ratepayers assistance scheme front and centre.
That's how many times did I say it? Yeah.
Possibly about 12.
Yeah. So the whole way I try to hold on to relevancy. That's it. Council table. It's not good. Yeah.
Love it. Keep pushing.
Here we go.
I didn't do a lot compared to that.
That is my day job.
Yeah, fair enough. The last month has been consumed with young people and sport in our region, and not a lot else. I spend 7 days a week at usually multiple sports and facilities, which is great fun. And I love to see that Cromwell is so strong in the numbers that we put out in all of the sports. Like hockey's my reference point. But having the facility here, what we have here, our numbers, just for comparison, we fund 6 kids of the age that they're year 1 and 2 at school, just coming into sport, real casual, practice with your own club and then come play on a Sunday if you want to, just to kind of opt in to get a feel for sport. Cromwell, we have teams of 4. I put in anything we put 10 teams in quite often to these. Queenstown as a whole, Wakasapu Hockey Club run that region as we run the Club School. They have 3 children of that age and couldn't field one single team in that grade because the facilities might be there, but they haven't got the people that are passionate enough to do the things we do. And I think it's everything. Like you look at what they've got in Queenstown, they've got some kick-ass stuff going on there. They've got the facilities, the schools, the everything, but the community isn't into it. And I think it just brings back how important that community is under everything, that you can have the best things in the world and looking at them trying to put in new sports schools and everything else, and we don't have that, but we've got the people and the passion and the everything. So I'm a big believer, having spent the last month going around and seeing how well Cromwell represents, that we're only going to get better, and all those facilities we're talking about that we need, they will come, but it's on us to keep pushing for that as a collaboration as well. And I think looking at the numbers that's just one example there with Queenstown, but looking at the numbers Queenstown and Wanaka are putting in sports compared to us, we're more than holding our own here, and that's community that's doing that. It's not just the facilities. But having said that, hockey is my reference sport. Looking at the turf we've got here helps tenfold. So as a community board, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that and work with that and keep pushing it, but hold on to the community more than anything else. So fields are secondary to that. But travelling around town and watching our kids go out there was pretty awesome. Apart from that, council meeting at the end of last month was some pretty heavy lifting, very long day as they seem to be. Community board consultation priorities for the LTP were discussed and passed, and everything that we put into that document. There's a lot of work there, by the team as well. And that went through, that was awesome to see. As you know, Charlie Sanders was appointed as the councillor to the Town Centre Steering Group. And as I said earlier, I've never heard him speak so much as he does about it. So I hope it brings out his passion. Awesome. What else did we talk about? There was a whole heap of stuff on some new bridges, lots of stuff. But apart from that, not an awful lot. I'll leave it there.
What did you do towards the rapist?
Bugger all, now I feel really bad. I'm going to go out and, I don't know, might make a flag or something.
Yeah.
I'll come to your next rally.
I love it.
Do you have rallies?
Yeah.
Cool, we'll go to a rally. Put me down for one. As of the public forum, we're going to make a date to go out to Banbury. I think we should all go.
Let's do that.
Haven't been for a while. Yeah, that's me.
Great, thank you. I need to move those members' reports.
Fixed it about 10 minutes ago, so I've seconded.
Who's done the carrots?
Yeah, I'll see you.
Good.
Team.
Status reports. 26.5.8. June 2026 governance report. What we've got on here. Cromwell Museum Trust accountability report. Who wants to speak to that? Do we need to speak to it? Just note them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's updates here about Cromwell Museum Trust accountability report, update on library strategy. This is following the library's consultation that was out in recent months. So
That's correct.
yeah, so is that the results of that consultation?
It is, yeah, and then the draft will be going, the draft strategy will be going out in about a month's time.
Yeah.
22nd.
Yeah.
Check out.
Yeah.
CapEx reporting, is that why Gareth walked in the room?
No, I'm actually waiting for. I'm happy to talk about getting supporting that.
A verbal update and CapEx report will be presented at the meeting. Sort of Stacey.
So, obviously this is Mahara.
Yeah.
We're working through the final rules at this point in time.
Yeah.
There's still a couple of things that we are just sorting out. The defecting, there's less than 30 defects. So we've gone from just over 100 down to less than 30. We're on track, on time, on budget, back in place.
Yeah. Cool.
I guess the project's now sort of become a CODC construction project now, so we're up to sort of the moving of furniture, doing all of our own IS stuff, all of the stuff that we need to do to, I guess, internally construct a building.
Dates.
Not too sure about that, but they've definitely been ordered, so on the one.
Yeah, cool.
Great. Okay, thanks for that. Just while you're there, Gear Ave update. Who wants to do a Gear Ave update?
So we should like to do that.
It's, I'm just trying to get to the confidentiality.
Yeah.
It's not a PX yet.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up
Too
to.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So at this stage, still in negotiations.
Yeah. And status reports. If we scroll on down, so we can have a look through latest updates and status reports. Here is an ongoing one, which will obviously soon enough. Gear Ave trees. What's the latest on the Gear Ave trees? What's the timing on them coming down one way or another?
We have to bring some kind of dotted out plan back to the board.
That was for the replanting.
Yeah, so the resolution was you'd like to see a bit of a plan for the trees down.
Yeah.
I think they're looking the next financial year, so probably not quite sure.
Point is, it's not imminent. Eh?
No, it's one for two.
Cool. Okay, I'll move the status reports. Be accepted. Cool, thanks. All those in favour? Anyone against? You? No? Oh, got to go full circle.
There you go, I guess status reports.
It's me.
Date of next meeting, 7th of July, 2026. This is great.
Yeah. Can be away, but I'm going to see you.
Yeah. Right. So now I'll move that we exclude the public for the next couple of items. We can say what they are. Yeah, discussing them, can we? I have a movement for excluding the public.
Yep.
And seconder.
Mhm.
Thanks, Sarah. That's pretty good. All those in favour? Anyone against?
Get a bit of-
Building up on it.